Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So this is my fourth video of reading English texts for English phonetics and phonology subject, and I will continue from the previous checkpoint, which is the second subchapter of the second chapter of this book, Focus, uh, The Hidden Driver of Excellence by Daniel Goldman. Here we go. Uh, Zoning out. Time for a quick quiz. What is that technical term for brainwave synchrony with the sound we hear? That is must be the prefrontal cortex. I guess I don't know. I didn't get along with the texts also with the books because it kind of hard to understand when you reading English texts that has complicated or even complex words in it. The second one is, what are the two main varieties of distraction? The outer and the inner distraction. Yep, I guess it's that. And the third is, what aspect of attention predicts prediction? Oh yeah, what aspect of attention predicts how well college athletes perform? It is the neural connections when they try to focus, but uh, like you just can focus. You just can focus on one thing actually. Yeah, I think it's because yeah, it's kind of complicated to understand about the book, and I'm also recently and for the past 4 months I tried to. I actually have read this book for I don't know maybe triple times or even twice. Uh, but I really didn't get it. But I use this book because all of this book is come in English. So I use this book for pronunciation practice when I stumbled upon a unprecedented word for me. When I stumbled into some unprecedented word for me, I gonna open my phone and search it up on Google and practice it with listening to the real pronunciation sound, which the Google lady said. Yeah. Okay. That's how I practice my pronunciation. Okay. Okay. It's been 3 minutes about me yapping and buffling about the unimportant things. Okay. Let me continue. If you can answer these off the top of your head, you've been sustaining focused attention while you read. The answers were in the last few pages of this book and can be found at the bottom of this page. Before I continue, I sometimes change or even stumble upon uh, the regular American accent, and then maybe I somehow want to use the British accent because I don't know both of that thing are have their own. Oh, it's not high and lows, but both of them have their own, yeah, such I don't know how you pronounce it in English. Maybe both of them have their own uh, characteristic. Yeah, correct. Character. Both character. Oh yeah, both of them has their own characteristic. Yeah. Okay. If you can't recall the answers, you may have been zoning out from time to time while you read. It's me. And you're not alone, he said. Okay. A reader's mind typically wanders anywhere from 20 to 40% of the time while perusing a text. The cost, the cost for students, not surprisingly, is that the more wandering, the worse their comprehension. Oh, that's why. Even when our minds are not wondering if the text turns to gibberish like we must make some circus for the money instead of we must make some money for the circus. About 30% of the time, readers continue reading aloud for a significant stretch before catching it. No, it sounds fall. It sounds off. Let me repeat that again. Even when our minds are not wondering if the text turns to gibberish like we must make some circus for the money instead of we must make some money for the circus. About 30% of the time, readers continue reading along for a significant stretch, an average of 17 words, before catching it. As we read a book, a blog, or any narrative, our mind constructs a mental model that lets us make sense of what we are reading and connects it to the universe of such models we already hold that bear on the same topic. This expanding web of understanding lies at the heart of learning. The more we zone out while building that web, and the sooner the lapse after we begin reading, the more holes. When we read a book, our brain constructs a network of pathways that embodies that set of ideas and experience. Contrast that deep comprehension with the interruptions and no, no, no. Uh, Contrast that deep comprehension with the interruptions and distractions that typify the ever seductive internet. The bombardment of texts, videos, images, and miscellaneous. Oh, let me repeat this sentence. The bombardment of texts, videos, images, and miscellaneous of messages we get online seems the enemy of the more full understanding that comes from from what Nicholas Carr calls deep reading, which requires sustained concentration. Wait, is it? Oh yeah, without needing a concentration and immersion in a topic rather than scotching from one to another, nabbing disconnected factoids, factoids, factoids. Yeah. Let me switch to British. I kind of like this out of the British accent. As education migrates onto web-based formats, the danger looms that the multimedia mass of distractions we call the internet will hamper learning. Uh, Way back in the 1950s, the philosopher Martin Heidegger warned against a looming tide of technological revolution that might so captive, bewitch, dazzle, and bejewel men that calculative thinking may someday come to be the only way of thinking. That would come at the last. That would come at the last. No, no. That that would that would come at the loss of meditative thinking, a mode of reflection he saw as the essence of our humanity. I hear Heidegger's warning in terms of the erosion of an ability at the core of reflection, the capacity to sustain attention to an ongoing narrative. Deep thinking demands sustaining a focused mind. The more distracted we are, the more shallow our reflections. Likewise, the shorter our reflections, the more trivial they are likely to be. Heidegger, were he alive today, would be horrified if asked to tweet. Well, and we stumbled upon uh, no, no, the third subchapter of the second chapter. Has attention shrunk? There's a swing band from Shanghai playing lounge music in a crowded Swiss convention hall with hundreds of people. Uh, there's a swing band from Shanghai playing lounge music in a crowded Swiss convention hall with hundreds of people milling about. In the midst of the manic throng, standing stock in the midst, in the midst, in the midst, in the midst of the manic throng, standing stock still at a small circular bar. Say, no, let me repeat that again. Uh, in the midst, in the midst of the manic throng, standing stock still at a small circular bar table, Clay Shicky has zoned into his laptop and is typing furiously. I met Clay, a New York University based social media maven, some years back, but rarely have the chance to see him in the flesh. For several minutes, I am standing about 3 feet away from Clay after his ride, watching him positioned in his peripheral vision if he had any attention bandwidth to spare. But Clay takes no notice until I speak his name. Then startled, oh yeah. Then startled, he looks up and we start chatting. Attention is a limited capacity. Clay's rapt concentration fills that full board until he shifts to me. 7 plus or minus 2. Chunks of information has been taken as the upper limit of the beam of attention since the uh, 1950s when George Miller proposed what he called this magical number in one of psychology's most influential papers. And I was curious about stumbling upon both accents. Is it okay as long as the person we speaking with are understanding what he's saying? I don't know, but I think it's okay to stumble upon both accents. Uh, More recently, though, some cognitive scientists have argued that four chunks is the upper limit that caught the public's limited attention for a brief moment anyway, as the new meme spread that this mental capacity had shrunk from 7 to 4 bits of information. Mind's limit found 4 bits of information, one science news site proclaimed. Uh, some took the presumed downsizing of what we can hold in mind as an some took the presumed downsizing of what we can hold in mind as an indictment of the destructiveness of everyday life in the 21st century, decrying the shrinking of this crucial mental ability, but they misinterpret the data. Working memory hasn't shrunk, said Justin Halberda. No. Said Justin Halberda, a cognitive scientist at Johns Hopkins University. Ooh, Stranger Things. If you know Hopkins, yeah, officer. Hopkins. I don't know whose name is that in Stranger Things. Okay, let me continue. I am so distracted. It is not the case that TV has made our working memory smaller. That in the 1950s we all had an upper limit of 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information, and now we have only 4. The mind tries to make the mind tries to make the most of its limited resources, Alberta explained. So we use memory strategies that help, say, combine different elements like 4, 1, and 5 into a single chunk, such as the area code 415. When we perform a memory task, the result might be 7 plus or minus 2 bits, but that breaks down into a fixed limit of 4 plus 3 or 4 more that memory strategies add. Let me repeat the direct speech of Alberta. When we perform a memory task, the result might be 7 plus or minus 2 bits, but that breaks down into a fixed limit of 4 plus 3 or 4 more that memory strategies add. So both 4 and 7 are right, depending on how you measure it. Then there's that many people think of as splitting attention is then there's what many people think of as splitting attention in multitasking, which cognitive science tells us is a fiction too. Rather than having a stretchable balloon of attention to deploy in tandem, we have. Oh, this is what I have been curious about. My parents is Japanese, so they is saying they I don't know they marks a person who could do two things at one time with tandem. In Japanese, we pronounce it tandem wale, like that. I don't know if it was the uh, naturalization of the English words and become the Japanese. I don't know. But let me continue. I am so distracted. I am sorry. Okay, let me repeat that from the first sentence. Rather than having a stretchable balloon of attention to deploy in tandem, we have a narrow, fixed pipeline to a lot. Instead of splitting it, we actually switch rapidly. Continuous switching saps attention from full, concentrated engagement. The most precious, the most precious, the most precious, is it a, the most precious resource in a computer system is no longer its processor, memory, disk, or even the network, but rather human attention. A research group at Carnegie Mellon University notes the solution they propose to this human bottleneck hinge on minimizing distractions. Project Aura proposes to do away with bothersome systems glitches so we don't waste time in hassles. Okay. The goal of a hassle-free computing system is laudable. This solution, however, may not get us that far. It is not a technological fix we need, but a calculated one. The source of distractions is not so much in the technology we use as in the frontal assault on our focusing. No, no, no. Okay, uh, the source of distractions is not so much in the technology we use as in the frontal assault on our focusing ability from the mounting tide of distractions, which gets me back to the Clay Shirky. Who puts a the in that sense? Oh, excuse me. Okay. Which gets me back to Clay Shirky, particularly his research on social media. Well, none of us can focus on everything at once. All of us together create a collective bandwidth for attention that we each can access as needed. Hold on a second. Ah. Oh, okay. Um, While none of us can focus on everything at once, all of us together create a collective bandwidth for attention that we each can access as needed. Access. Oh, each. Okay, let me repeat that again. While none of us can focus on everything at once, all of us together create a collective bandwidth for attention that we each can access as needed. Witness Wikipedia. 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 Okay. Uh, as Shirky proclaims in his book Here Comes Everybody, attention can be seen as a capacity distributed among many people, as can memory or any cognitive expertise. Uh, what's trending now indexes how we are allotting our collective attention. While some argue that our tech, well, some argue that our tech facilitated learning and memory dumb us down. It's not dumb ass, but dumb us down. Okay, let me repeat that again. While some argue that our tech facilitated learning and memory dumb us down, there's also a case to be made that they create a mental processes that expands the power of individual attention. Our social capital and range of attention increases as we up the number of social ties. I, our social capital and range of attention increases as we up the number of social ties through which we gain crucial information like tacit knowledge of how things work here, whether in whether in an organization or a new neighborhood. Casual acquaintances, acquaint, acquaintances. Casual acquaintances can be extra sets of eyes and ears on the world, key sources of the guidance we need to operate in complex social and information ecosystems. Most of us have a handful of strong ties, close, trusted friends, but we can have hundreds of so-called weak ties, for example, our Facebook friends. Okay, weak ties have high value as multipliers of attention. Weak ties have high value as multipliers of our attention capacity and as a source of tips for good shopping deals, job possibilities, and dating partners. When we coordinate what we see and what we know, our efforts in tandem multiply our cognitive wealth. While at any given moment our quota for working memory remains small, the total of data we can pull uh, while at any given moment our quota for working memory remains small, the total of data we can pull through that narrow width becomes huge. Width, 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 width. Okay, it is wide width. I actually struggle how to say how to differentiate between width and width. Is it width or width? Width, like you place your tongue in the sky of your mouth. With the sky of your mouth, like in mulut. Okay, let me continue. I am so distracted. I am so sorry, sir. Okay. Uh, a research no, 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 no. While at any given moment our quota for working memory remains small, the total of data we can pull through that narrow width becomes huge. This collective intelligence, the sum total of what everyone in a distributed group can contribute, promises maximal focus, the summation of what multiple eyes can notice. A research center at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology on Collective Intelligence sees this emerging capacity as abetted by the sharing of attention on the Internet. The classic example: millions of websites cast their spotlight within narrow niches, and a web search selects and directs our focus so we can harvest all that cognitive work efficiently. The MIT Group's basic question: how can we connect people and computers so that collectively we act with more intelligence than any one person or group? Or, as the Japanese say, all of us are smarter than any one of us. It sounds off, okay? Or, as the Japanese say, all of us are smarter than any one of us, okay? That is the end of the third sub chapter of the second chapter, and I will continue the fourth sub chapter in the fifth video. Okay, I think that's all. I think the video is too long because it it barely touches the 30-minute duration. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you on the next video.